Hi everyone, and welcome to another review, of course, and I think it's a review that will be of interest to some of us. Talking, of course, of the new KZ, the ZEX. Let me just bring it up a little bit higher here. Okay, it's the twin brother, sorry, of the CCA NRA. I've actually got that one over here as well. Just 1 second. So here we go. Let me actually zoom this in. So CCA NRA KZ ZEX, you pick your poison. I mean, they are identical and everything identical. Okay, so I'm not gonna go through the whole unboxing thing because KZ, we already know, is not known for its box. It comes with a simple box, brings an improved cable actually. I don't have it here with me by mistake, my fault. It actually brings an improved cable, which is much better than the usual garbage that KZ brings. But anyway, it brings these new style of tips, which funny enough are the ones that I'm actually using because they fit me perfectly. I've heard some people complain about it. The shell is very much the standard shell that's kind of being used by KZ right now. It's got what I believe is a metal backplate. It's using 2 drivers, so it's a 10mm dynamic driver and a 6.8 magnetostatic, electrostatic, or whatever you want to call it, kind of a driver. It's a new technology apparently that they're using. To cut things short, I think it's been pretty successful. This is the kind of stuff that I would like KZ to do, honestly. I really, I'm not going to go off into a big rant here, but anyway, KZ is one of those brands that, whether we like it or not, those of us that have been in this hobby for a while, we've all had KZs. It's one of the first chi-fi companies. They big, they're huge, they have collaborations or subsidiaries from many other brands, so they know what they're doing. I would assume they know what they're doing. I just think that their business orientation has perhaps been on one direction only, and I think it's about time that they really start thinking, hold on, the competition now is getting much stiffer. Fine, we might dominate the low-end market, but let's show people that maybe have been loyal fans to us that we can actually do something good. And instead of doing those things that I usually do of 20 BAs aside and 30 BAs aside and whatever have you, just do a nice simple earphone that plays well, and this is one of those. Actually, I think that KZ has definitely shown in the last couple of months that they are wanting to do something better. I mean, the DQ6, even before the DQ6, the EDX, an amazing single DD. I mean, for $7, that and the MT1 from TRN are amazing. One more bass focused, the other more mid focused, but either one of them are spectacular. I just recently bought another EDX, kind of, let's say, a third production run. I actually opened it up, and the driver inside is of a different shell color than the previous ones. Previous ones were like a goldish color, and this one is now a silverish color, which is very similar to the driver found in the CA2 from CCA, which is, let's say, the twin brother of the EDX. And the EDX is, I think, the first earphone that the KZ made that has really been kind of, wow, this thing is good, this thing is really good. And that was about a year ago. Then they came out with the DQ6, which is an implementation of their newer dynamic driver, the XUN, I think it is. I forget its nomenclature sometimes, but it's basically the same dynamic driver that you find in the KZ ZAS, and 2 smaller 6mm dynamic drivers. And with all its flaws and everything, the reality is this: the DQ6 is an amazing IM. It grabs very similar to a Blonde 03, and that's why the Blonde is actually over there. And in certain instances, it actually has a kind of a Blonde 03 sound. But the reality is this: it plays well. It does play well. That's the short and sweet. Some might like it, some might not like it. I think some might not like it because they already are so used to KZ bringing out so many garbage IEMs, and by garbage I'm being a little bit harsh, but so many IEMs which are underwhelming that they don't even give, or they don't even approach KZ with the necessary neutrality. And the reality is, this is good. And now they've come out with the NRA or with the ZEX, and this is amazing. So please, if anybody at KZ is actually listening to me, little old Tony here that doesn't know anything about earphones, he's just a consumer, take this and do a nice IM. Do something that costs $100 even. Do something that costs $150, but something that you put on your ears and you say, oh wow, the guys from The Audio better watch out. Oh wow, the guys from Moondrop actually better watch out. Oh wow, the guys from Tanstream better watch out. Something that really is amazing, and no need to overcomplicate it and do a multiple driver thing. Just do something nice. Anyway, enough of that. Fit for me is perfect. Isolation, yeah, it's okay. I guess it's very much tip dependent. If I was using perhaps a different tip, I would isolate a little bit better, but with these tips, that is not the case, although they play very well and I'm happy with it. I'm not using the standard cable. As you can see, I'm using a Fail hibiscus cable. And yeah, very much that's it in a nutshell. What have I got here to compare against it? All of them are single DD, single BA IEMs, for the exception of the DQ6, which is two dynamic drivers for the mid and high frequency, let's put it that way, and for the ZEX, which is a electrostatic driver. The blonde is a single, and I've got the blonde here for a reason which I will explain just now. But the Senfer DT6 is a hybrid, single DD, single BA. The CCZ Emerald, the same situation. And well, before we carry on, I also want a little bit of a rant here to CCZ. I don't know if it was intentional or not, and if it wasn't intentional, then fine, I can accept that. But why make two IEMs, the Melody and the Emerald, and transmit the idea that they are different somehow when they are exactly the same thing? I don't understand. I mean, honestly, I just don't understand. I graphed them both and they are identical. I have two sets of each. I graphed them, they are identical. Granted, on the Emerald, I see a slight more lushness on the bass for some reason. Maybe it's shell related, some resonance inside of it or something, but that's it. Otherwise, they are exactly the same, and I don't think there's no need for that. If you're trying to, set yourself a position in the market, why do that? I can't understand. But anyway, CCZ. Same for DT9. I'll run through the IEMs first. Same for DT9. When I reviewed it, I said it was an unapologetic, fun IEM, and that's exactly it. It's V-shaped. It's got a beautiful shell, open back kind of design, as you can see there by the vents, and it plays really well. I mean, it's a fun IEM. It's not the ultimate in anything. It doesn't do anything particularly bad, doesn't do anything particularly good. It's just a fun IEM, and I mean, for the price, for $20, they were available at one point for $19. You can't go wrong. It's genuinely a really nice sounding IEM, clean. It's got good bass, good highs. The mids are slightly recessed, yes, but what mids they are of decent quality. A little bit sibilant sometimes. Soundstage, it's average. Imaging, average. Micro details as well, pretty decent for the price. I'll jump straight to the CCZ. The CCZ, again, it's basically an implementation of the Coffee Bean in terms of the dynamic driver with then a BA added. Bass is nice, a little bit slow at times. The Senfer has got a quicker bass. The highs, I think, in my opinion, are not of the same quality as the Senfer. I don't know if it's down to the way they've actually implemented the BA driver or the positioning or something. They just, some people were complaining that the highs on the Senfer were a little bit aggressive. I didn't find them aggressive. On here, I don't know, they're sometimes overly sibilant. That's my opinion. Otherwise, the rest of the IM, it's acceptable. I mean, it's basically a coffee bean with the coffee bean characteristics, which is a nice bass. You know, it's warm bass, a warm mid range, good vocals, and then with a little bit more sparkle up top, which sometimes is well done, sometimes it isn't well done, and that's basically it. Of the two, honestly, of the two, I would take the Senfer. If I was to choose between CCZ and Senfer, definitely the Senfer. Then the Blonde. Well, the Blonde, we all know what the Blonde is about. The granddaddy of IEMs that kind of revolutionized everything. Good bass. Some people consider it slow and you know, like too overly warm. Personally, I don't find it that way. It's not, you know, super quick, but it's fine. It gives the mids a really nice timbre tonality. It's just got a very nice sound to it, and the highs how they although sometimes a little bit on the harsh side, they are perfect. I mean, I honestly believe more and more that the Blonde was a fluke in terms of they just were lucky. I don't believe that they actually wanted it to sound this good. They put it together and it just hit the dots, and that's it. DQ6, very nice bass. It's full, it's got nice impact. The mids, it's vocals, it's a mixed bag. I find sometimes some male vocals are nice, other male vocals are overly warm, and I guess that's down to the bass. Well, the mid bass being sometimes a little bit overly present. But for example, Love Will Find a Way from Jeff Cascaro, he's got a very particular voice, and you listen to it on the Blonde, it just sounds so nice. And on the DQ6, it just doesn't sound as natural. Let's put it that way. And the highs, I guess it was a nice thing to try and have DDs do the upper mids and highs by using the dual 6mm drivers, but it needs a little bit more polishing up. It needs to, but it's on the right track. I believe honestly, I believe that this is a good basis for an improved DQ6. Call it a DQ6 Evo, DQ6 Pro, whatever you want to call it. Charge more money for it, but improve it, and it's a good base for that. The same way as the ZEX is a good base for a really nice higher end IM, something that costs below $200 that will really blow our socks off. As for the ZX, nice mid bass. It's got enough sub bass, just enough. So it's not a bass head IM, but it's got nice mid bass, good impact, clean. It's fast. It's a really nice bass. Mids are very smooth. I found the mids to be very coherent, very balanced. Male and female vocals, I found them to be just nice. The higher frequencies, there is some hint of that electrostatic, let's put it, air that you hear when you hear, for example, an i3 Pro or a Timeless or something like that. But if obviously when you start listening to it a little bit more carefully, you feel that it's not 100% that, but it's got really nice highs. In my opinion, superior to the DQ6. So a much better implementation of the DQ6. Overall, a better IEM than the DQ6. Period. I think where it maybe needs a little bit more attention is on the details in terms of detail retrieval and an improved soundstage. Although it's not bad, I think where it actually misses out is on the imaging. I don't know, it just feels closed, you know. While you listen to a Blonde, and I mean, if that's, even if that is also not a characteristic, one of the best characteristics of the Blonde, you have a sense of spaciousness, of soundstage, of imaging, you know. On the ZEX, sometimes it just sounds a little bit closed, and I think what makes up for it's just the whole way that the mid bass, the mid range, and the highs just come together nicely, kind of compensate for that. They make it very fun hearing, very engaging. Again, I mean, let's not forget the main thing here. This is 25 bucks, and for 25 bucks for them to have offered something like this is honestly, I take my hats off to them. Congratulations, KZ. Really, congratulations. As compared to its twin brother, the NRA, for some reason, and again, I have 2 pairs of these and 2 pairs of NRA. I know, you guys think, what is wrong with this guy? You're always buying multiple IENs and so on. What is the reason? Well, I do it, first of all, because there's so much driver inconsistency, you know, that I like to make sure, well, okay, let's see if the 2 I get are more or less the same. And yes, the 4 units that I have, they're graphed almost the same. Although the NRAs, for some reason, the first set I got, graphed more peaky. And that one does sound different to the other NRA and to the 2 ZEXs that I have. The ZEXs sound better, period. Don't ask me why, they just sound better. Is it maybe a different dynamic driver? I don't know. They say this is a dual magnet something. They say that the NRA uses a triple magnet, whatever. I really don't know. I guess that's something that only KZ can answer. But the ZEX sounds better and it looks better. Honestly, I think this whole black on black looks very smart, gives it a very just gives it a very nice classy feeling, premium. While this whole silver and green, I mean, no, come on, make it, if it was transparent maybe, and with the silver, yeah, fine, it just makes it look cheap. It makes it look like the old KZs, which just look cheap. Why you still do that? I don't understand, you know, come on. Yeah, so that's basically it. KZ, ZEX, fun IEM. I really think it's worth its money. This is going to sound crazy what I'm going to say, but it actually has a lot of things which sometimes remind me of the blonde. I like a lot of the stuff that it does. It's kind of very blonde, blondish. As for an overall ranking of all of these, well, again, very subjective, depends on everyone's opinion and sound choices and so on and so forth. But for me, CCZ last place, the Senfer up 1 spot, and then these 3, I mean, this is first, definitely, okay, definitely first. Between these 2, I would consider them equal, with a slight advantage on the blonde, okay, only a slight advantage on the blonde, but they're very much equal, and these 2 are also slightly behind the ZEX. It's not like the ZEX is an outright winner, like destroys the other 2s and everything. No, I would almost dare to say I am more engaging in the bass and so on and so forth. Then probably the DQ6 would be the option. If you want a more kind of, like I usually say, old school type of sound, then the blonde. If you want a nice, interesting take with a different signature, which is very engaging and has some of the characteristics of the blonde, then the ZEX. And yeah, guys, that's it. Hope you enjoyed this little mini review, 19 minutes almost, mini review of mine, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye bye.